Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Someone recently asked me in the comment about the death of the Michael Jackson impersonator. I believe his last name was Neely. A young guy that died. For some reason, I feel like I've seen this guy somewhere before. I don't know. I've just seen him somewhere. As far as a younger picture of him, this looks like I've seen him somewhere on TV maybe, or maybe his video was around somewhere. He looks very familiar. It is very unfortunate that he died. I was asked my opinion about it, so this is what I'm going to say. There's two things I want to say. Number one, it's terrible when anybody dies. No matter the circumstances, it's sad when someone died. Apparently he had mental illnesses. Apparently he had autism, and then he had some other things going on. And according to his father, it's alleged that he had not been taking his medication. I think his father had actually, or I don't know if his father placed him or he was involuntarily put into a mental institution, and then he was later released, and he fell on some hard times, and some sort of an altercation occurred. It's alleged that there were actually several people that was restraining this guy, but then there was a Marine who's one of the three people that got a chokehold on him. And witnesses are saying that even when the guy was not responding and not moving, he kept holding on to him, and the guy subsequently was deceased at the hospital. Now, they want to, I was asked my opinion on it, and this is what I'm going to say. Two things are really important. Two things. If you have some sort of a mental disorder and you have been given medications to take it, take your medication. I know people may say or think, why should I? But that the Lord created doctors for a reason. Now, sometimes I understand those things may make you feel funny, out of body, and hopefully you're able to figure out what dosages work for you. But you need to take your medicines, because there are a lot of people that they don't take it. They don't want to take it, but when they're not taking their medicine, then they end up having these erratic behaviors that there's nothing on you that's going to say, I have autism, I have bipolar. What they see is someone acting a certain way. And in the world that we live in, where people are doing so many things, where it could be a mass shooter, where a person can cause harm, can physically assault, physically hurt you, kill you, stab you. You have people who are later deemed to be mentally unstable that goes through using a hammer, hit and bashes a woman in the head. We have that. A man who he has bipolar, and he was not taking his medicine, so he got a hammer and beat a woman in her head with a hammer. Someone who's not taking their medicine, they push someone on the subway track, not themselves. That's the ironic part of it. They don't hurt themselves. They don't think to hurt themselves. They attack people. This is very common. We're living in times where people are very dangerous. Even mass shooters, people that go around hacking people to death, the bottom line you're always going to hear, they had a mental problem. They were struggling with depression. They were not taking their medication. So what does that say? What's the picture? This person's dangerous. What's the picture? When you see someone acting up, you need to engage. You need to stop them. If you have a mental issue where you act out of sorts and you've been medicated, you've been given your medicine, take your medicine. Because guess what? There are people who take their medicine, who has those same issues, who take their medicine, and there are plenty of people in society who have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression and all types of things, and bipolar and schizophrenia and different things of that nature, and they're taking their medicine and they're doing just fine. That's why I'm a person, I don't believe because someone has bipolar and has issues of that nature that if they commit a murder, that's an excuse. No, it's not, because there are plenty of people who actually has that and they are functioning just fine. They may have moments, but they are doing their due diligence in finding what medications work for them, all that good stuff, and adjusting accordingly. Now, unfortunately, yes, there are some that they are not getting the treatment that they need. They can't afford it. But if I'm not mistaken, in the United States, there are programs and things for people, even people that don't really have money, that you can get stuff for your mental health. I could be wrong. Now, there are those that the systems just fail them. They want help, but they're not getting help. They can't get their appointments. The doctors are not keeping them as they should in the hospital because they don't care. And sometimes those people, no fault of their own, they go out there and they end up doing the unthinkable. But most times what you're hearing is they just didn't like their medication and they didn't take it. If you're in that demographic that you've been prescribed meds, take your medication. You're believing God for a miracle, that is great. But in the meantime, you need to be taking your medication. Okay? Because if you don't and you end up having an episode, the world's not going to understand. Am I blaming him? No. I'm telling you guys the importance of taking medication. We're not even talking about this guy. I'm giving what I'm saying. I can't speak specifically on his situation, but my takeaway from it is take your medicine. This is why you need to take it if you've been prescribed it. Number 2, and most important, is people need to have control of themselves. Now, where this guy is going to get messed up, this Marine, is because whether you're a Marine, a soldier, an airman, a seaman, whatever your occupation has been in the military, we all have been trained in combat, hand-to-hand combat, different things of that nature. Some more elite groups will learn more, have more tactical skills, fighting skills. They'll learn different specialties. But one thing that we must have is temperance. And because he is trained and he's not just an average guy, this might come back to haunt him. Because even in the midst of engaging with a person, you still have to have the mind to not just go ham and lose it. You're so angry and you're so caught up in the situation. As a uniformed personnel, I think he's an ex-Marine, okay? You have to be able to assess the situation and know that, okay, I have this person here, but I'm not trying to kill him. If he is now restrained and subdued, you may hold him in that. I don't think there's anywhere else he could have held the guy. They didn't look like he didn't like, I don't know the size difference, but that's the only place to restrain him at that point, because they did not have him down on the front. Remember, it took 3 people. It took 3 people initially to try to restrain this guy. He was one of them. The Marine was. But the Marine has to be able to, now when you're in uniform, you're a police officer, soldier, you have some special fighting skills, you take jujitsu, or you're an MMA fighter. In addition to those skills that you have, when you're dealing with a person, you have to be able to assess. You have to have the frame of mind that you are not so angry, or your adrenaline is so high that you can't let go. You should have let that guy go once he stopped moving. Next thing, as a Marine, as any uniformed personnel, you know CPR. We know first aid. So he should have started that like immediately. Okay? The minute the guy stops moving, you say, you cool? You good? You gonna stop? Or something. Or the guy's struggling and he's hitting you like this. You need to say, I'm gonna let you go. You're gonna stop moving. And you begin to release that. You release it and you just keep your hold on the person, but not on their neck. Maybe keep a hold, tighten your leg around him, but loosen the neck. He didn't do that. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be ruled a homicide. It's no longer self-defense or you're not helping if the person's not moving, and it's all on camera. It shows the guy losing consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So anger, you need to be in control of that. To whom much is given, much is required. If you have special skills, if you have been specially trained, when you're dealing with people, yeah, you may need to engage, but you also have to have the frame of mind where you are aware of the person, that you're not just locking in and trying to you're just about trying to stop the person, but you're not aware of, you're still dealing with a human being. You're not aware of how tight your lock is. You're not aware, you're still holding on a lock on someone who is unconscious. You have to think of how much force are you using. This is something, as a Marine, as a soldier, as a person in law enforcement, a person who know how to fight. You have to know, you have to be able to assess what you're doing, because you're trained. Yes, Marines, you're a trained killer, but there's still rules of engagement. We're not trained to just murder and take out civilians. And a lot of times, even in the military, if you can stop the enemy, if you can, even when you're firing a weapon, they don't tell us to just shoot center mass and kill the person unless you're in combat. If you're in combat and they're shooting, they're trying to kill you, so you have to kill them. But when you have someone that's standing there and you're trying to apprehend them, the first thing that you're going to do, you're telling them to move, they're not listening. And if they become a threat, as long as they're not holding a weapon, then what you do is you shoot them like in the knee if they're not stopping, because you want to disable them so you can apprehend them. We are not taught to just shoot center mass in a situation where someone does not have a weapon. And even sometimes, no, if they don't have a weapon, you can't. You can't just shoot them to kill. That's one of the reasons why I've never understood when you just shoot a person in the head as a police officer and they're in their car, or you shoot them in the chest. How? There's so many other spots that you could have shot the person if you felt you needed to, and disable them. You see? So two things out of all of this. Take your medicine. It makes you funny. Talk with your doctor about the dosages. I know this does not happen for everybody, but there are a lot more people who they have this opportunity, but they're just not taking their medicine. If you don't, and you have an episode, you may run into somebody who's not trying to understand, because we're living in a world where people are living in fear. People are hyper vigilant because we're living in dangerous times. So the considerations that may have been there in the past, it's not there anymore, because people are doing things that's harmful. People are doing things, you don't know what this guy was thinking. You don't know what this Marine's experience had been. And he may feel like he needed to take him down. He may have had flashbacks. The guy's had several tours. And it's very possible someone could have, an explosive on them. The whole thing that he was thinking, he's acting erratically. I'm going to engage, but he just went too far. And sometimes adrenaline and the moment, he's just focused, and he may have had tunnel vision, but as in a military person, you can't allow your feelings and your adrenaline to cause you to do too much, or to act erratically, or to act in a way that is going to cause the death of somebody. So I doubt that he wanted to kill him. I think that he just got in the zone. But 2 things to learn out of this: control your anger. Whether you're a Marine or a regular person, control your anger. Or your temperament, or pray for judgment. Because if you don't use judgment, you don't have sound mind. If you're not able to see what's before you and assess the situation, and even if you have to engage, you are still measured, and you're using wisdom in what you need to do, and you need to do all that at the same time while your adrenaline is running, you'll end up doing something wrong. You end up killing someone by accident. You end up killing someone intentionally. You end up killing someone with the words of your mouth, the things that you do. Okay? Meaning you destroy relationships and you can't get it back. People may not agree with me. There's a lot of people who feel like if I'm praying to God, then I don't need my medicine. There's a reason why God created medicine. There's a reason why he created doctors. So, and some people will think, I can get my deliverance. That's fine, you can. That can happen. But take your medicine in the meantime. Unless the Lord really speaks to your heart to tell you not to take something, then that's fine. Then you don't. There are lots of people who don't believe in a lot of things. They don't believe in their immunizations. I can't tell you what to do in those situations. But all I'm saying is the moral of the story, and what I got out of all of this example, it may not be the exact thing here. I'm not speaking specifically about this young man. I'm telling you what I got out of it. Take your medicine. Because when you're out of pocket and when you're out of character, people are just thinking, we're living in times where people are doing the craziest things. People are being stabbed. People are being killed. People are bombing the subways. People are doing this. He may have a knife. He can attack me. And we're in times where people are going to subdue you. They're going to do whatever, and they're going to go really far with it, because before you kill us, we're going to kill you. That's the mindset of the world. Because this is what America is. If you look at it, people just got shot and killed at the mall. People are getting shot and killed in church. People are getting stabbed. People are being hit in the head with a hammer. In New York, there's a lot of violence. And every time, what are they saying? Oh, this person was on medication. This person was off their medication. This person had this. And so people are looking at even individuals who we should look at with sympathy and say, nope, they're dangerous. We need to get them before they get us. And last, well, I think I've said everything. Take your medicine. Watch your anger. Even in situations where you're being confronted, you still have to use wisdom. Even if you are a gun carrier, you can't just blow somebody's head off. I think in Texas you can. Okay, you're in someone's house, they can kill you. But I think there are even rules of engagement then. If you can disarm the person, if you can stop them. But I think Texas has that stand your ground law. You're in someone's house in Texas, you're on their land, Texas gives you the right to light them up. And Texas is a carry state. The day that man went into the church and shot those people while they were taking communion, that I believe that same day, if not the very next day, the law was passed. Everybody can carry a gun in Texas. There used to be rules. You couldn't have it if you were like in apartments. You couldn't have, everybody has guns in Texas. So we back to the wild west shootout. And this is the world we're in. So I'm sad to hear that this has happened to this young man. Pray over your family each and every day. Pray for deliverance. Pray for God to heal people from things that they may struggle with. And I will also say, let God be the head of your life. Because sometimes our choices can take us down some roads and some paths that we're not meant to be on. Start with your children in the house, in the home. If your children's not listening to you, they're not doing the things that they need to do, go to school, finish your schooling. Do your basics at the very least. Get your high school diploma. Listen to your mom and your dad. Do the best that you can, because if you don't, it's going to take you down this path in some ways that things can take place and things can happen. I'm not saying this is what happened with this guy. I'm just giving general information. And pray for healing from all mental illnesses, because it is a spiritual thing. But in the meantime, the safeguards that's in place, the medical safeguards, you use them. Because nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to want to hear nothing about you being ill. Because nowadays, the people who are doing the most heinous crimes, the ones who are doing horrible crimes against children, butchering, hacksawing, decapitating people, you know what they're saying? Oh, I have a mental problem. Oh, I'm bipolar. So therefore, society deems you as dangerous, and they're not taking any chances. Take your medicine. Watch your temperament. And if you have been taught special skills, you are a soldier, you are a Marine, you are an airman, you are a seaman, you have some sort of skills in fighting. In addition to those skills, you have to be able to assess who you're contacting with, who you're in contact with. Don't give deadly blows. Give something that can disarm them at the moment. Check on them. And if they go out, you also are responsible for administering CPR. Some life-saving measures. You don't just take them out and walk away. All right, guys. I hope this makes sense. This is my thoughts, my opinion on the matter. I'm not here to argue with anyone. I'm open to your feedback. I'm not looking at it as a black man and a white man. I'm not looking at it like that. It was no racist thing. It was, in my opinion, it was a guy that was behaving erratically. People don't know his history. People just got involved to stop him from behaving however he was acting. He was perceived as a threat. So I don't see it as a racial thing. Okay? We shouldn't see it as a racial thing. Okay? It wasn't like there was a white guy and a black guy acting up and then, or being erratic, and then they chose the black guy. It was something that happened, a guy that happened to be black doing certain things, and it's not like only white people were trying to hold him down. You understand? So I think we have got to take all those things away, look at what occurred. This guy, I have not heard any updates, will most likely be charged, but I don't think he's going to be found guilty. And if he is, it's going to be like, it's going to be something very light. I don't think people are going to be pleased with it, but I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be looked at as he was trying to help and it just got out of control. Just something else I want to add here. You know, we're living in a society where most people normally stand by and record things happening. No one intervenes. And I think what's going to happen here is that if something is to happen to this Marine, or charges are held against him, he gets some deep penalty, people are going to be less inclined to help. They're going to be less inclined to intervene. They're going to be less inclined to de-escalate a situation, because who's skilled in the moment, right? And we'll continue to have more bystanders. All right, guys. Peace.